You've been to a party, a work event, a networking thing, and noticed that one person who seems to have their own gravitational pull. Everyone wants to be around them. They're not necessarily the best looking person in the room, not the funniest, not the loudest, and you think, what do they have that I don't? The most common answer we give ourselves is charisma, that innate, almost genetic thing some people are born with and others just aren't. Like a social superpower that came pre-installed in certain people and didn't come in yours. I believed that for a long time. You probably do too. The problem is that belief is completely wrong. There's a Harvard University study that tracked human relationships for decades, and what it found flipped everything I thought I knew about social connection. The quality of our relationships doesn't depend on personality. Not on being extroverted, not on knowing how to tell great stories or having a mental library of perfect comebacks. It depends on how people feel when they're with you. That changes everything, because if charisma were a fixed personality trait, you couldn't learn it. But if charisma is a feeling you create in others, it becomes a skill. And skills can be built. So what is that skill? Just one, and it has a name: genuine presence. It's not a communication technique, it's not body language. It's something simpler and rarer than that. It's the ability to actually be there in a conversation, to make the person in front of you feel that in that moment they have your full attention. Not your phone, not what you're about to say, not the other people in the room, them. Most people don't do this, and the ones who do seem almost magnetic. Here are 3 ways to put that skill into practice. There's a pattern almost everyone repeats in conversations without realizing it: listening to respond, not to understand. While the other person is talking, your mind is already building your reply, drawing comparisons, loading up a joke, planning your contribution. The result is that you catch less than half of what was actually said and miss everything between the lines. People feel this, not consciously, but they feel it. And what registers is, this person isn't really here. The fix is simple to understand, but hard to practice. Before forming any response, mentally replay what the person just said. 1 second of real processing. That one micro habit changes the entire quality of the conversation. Think about a classic situation. Someone tells you about a problem and you immediately try to fix it. Helpful, right? But most of the time the person doesn't want a solution. They want to be heard. There's a concept in psychology called emotional validation, which is basically acknowledging what the other person is feeling before anything else. It's not agreeing with them. It's not saying they're right. It's saying it makes sense that you feel that way. It sounds simple, but neurologically it's powerful. When someone feels their emotion has been recognized, their defenses come down and they become genuinely open. So that's genuine presence in action. You're not solving their problem, you're with them in the problem. So before offering any advice, name what you notice. That sounds frustrating? That must have been a lot to carry. That's it. Now here's one that's counterintuitive. Asking more questions doesn't create more connection. Most people assume that lots of questions signal interest, and they do up to a point. The problem is when the questions hop from topic to topic without going deeper on anything. It starts to feel like an interrogation. A genuinely present person doesn't collect information. They follow. And following means that when someone mentions something with emotional weight, a frustration, a win, a fear, instead of moving on, you go further into that. What do you mean? How did that make you feel? What happened after? That follow-up question sends a signal: what you just said mattered enough for me to want to know more. There's a mistake I used to make constantly, especially with people I just met. I tried to impress them. I'd talk about my accomplishments, things I knew, experiences I'd had. I thought it was creating value. It was actually creating distance, because while I was trying to seem interesting, I stopped being present. Psychology calls this the vulnerability paradox. The attempt to impress pushes people away, while admitting something genuine pulls them in. It doesn't have to be dramatic or deeply personal. It can be small. Honestly, I don't really know how to handle that either. I completely blew it in a situation like that once. When you show you're human, people relax, because they're human too, and they were trying to hide that from you. Last one. And this might be the most sophisticated expression of genuine presence: learning to exist without needing to fill the silence. Most people treat a pause in conversation like a social failure alarm goes off, so they start saying anything, making unnecessary jokes, filling every gap, anything to escape that 1 second of quiet. But someone who's comfortable with silence transmits something rare: calm, no urgency, no need for approval. And you know what people feel around someone like that? Relief. They relax because you're not asking anything of them. You're simply there, and quiet presence is the purest form of this skill. The core fear for anyone who wants to develop charisma is this: what if I'm just not interesting enough? But that's the wrong question. The most magnetic people I've ever spent time with weren't the most interesting ones. They were the ones who made me feel like I was interesting. The ones I'd walk away from feeling lighter, more understood, more like myself. That's the one social skill that when you actually develop it, changes how people experience you. It doesn't require being extroverted, funny, or articulate. It just requires the decision to, in that conversation, genuinely care about the person in front of you. It's a skill. You can start building it right now. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needed to hear it, because there's probably someone in your life who already does all of this naturally, and it's worth them knowing why it works. And if you want to keep going down this road, subscribe.